Good afternoon. We are live for leads and sales directly to you, and you'll be watching. I can see Graham's already on YouTube. You can be watching this on Maverick's Facebook page, Maverick North America's LinkedIn page, and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. So we're live everywhere this afternoon for leads and sales. It's 2022, something I forgot earlier today. It's 2022. And what's our plan to build revenue and build a pipeline for 2022? And I'm going to share some thoughts with you tonight or today that will help you. Now, just some housekeeping. I'm live on lots of channels at the same time. So if you have a question or a comment, do come and comment or chat in the chat or comment below the video, and they come in live and I can see them just on screen here. So let me know where you're joining from if you're watching right now. Excuse me. I can see Graham's here, Jack's here, so let us know where you are joining from and we will happily start in a few minutes. We've started early to get everybody in time. But we're going to be talking all things leads and sales. So let us know in the chat where you're joining from, which is brilliant, and tell us all about who you are, where you're joining from, and we will start in a couple of minutes. You will need some notes. You might want to take some notes, but I'm happy to share the replay with you after the session. So here's Thomas, here's David, here's Larry, New York, Minneapolis, Czech Republic. Awesome. So, we're going to give it a couple of minutes. Houston, Pedro from Houston, somebody from Virginia, excuse me. Sherry, Happy New Year, Sherry. John from Wisconsin, Pierre from Minnesota, Anne from Minnesota, Connor from New Jersey, awesome. So there's lots of people joining. Jennifer from Minneapolis, lots of people from Minneapolis. I wonder why, Graham. Graham is our head of US operations. Our office is based in Minneapolis. So if you're in Minneapolis and you don't know about us, do drop Graham a line. He'd love to hear from you. Also, just some housekeeping before we start. I am going to kickstart in a moment. You'll see on screen an email address. During the session, I'm going to shout out lots of free resources, including if you want the replay of this session. So if you want the replay, just drop us an email, hello@maverick.com, and we'll send you the replay. So that's brilliant. If you want to join any resources, hello@maverick.com. So I did a session a bit earlier and people went crazy putting their email address in the comments. Don't do that. Don't put your email address in the comments or the chat. Just email us hello@maverick.com. The first resource, just whilst we're waiting for everybody to get here, the first resource I want to share with you that we'll happily give you is a worksheet that gives you 5 simple strategies to increase sales. 5 simple strategies to increase sales. It's free, and just email hello@maverick.com and we'll share it with you. So 5 simple strategies to increase sales. The email is on the screen, hello@maverick.com, and we will email it to you. It'll either be later today or it'll be tomorrow, but we will definitely email it to you free of charge. Okay, so let's get started. A few more people here, somebody from Edina, somebody from Baltimore, Minneapolis, Georgia, Gary from Minnesota. So awesome. Lots of people from Minnesota, which is brilliant. So just if you've never heard of Maverick before, Maverick is a training and development company that helps companies sell through digital channels. So social media, email, and we're a B2B business. So if you're looking to increase your profile in terms of your visibility and your brand, personal or business, if you're looking to sell more stuff, and if you're looking to reach a wider audience, this is what we do. This is how we help companies and individuals. But today's session is training, so it's totally free, and I'm just going to share some thoughts to help you think about 2022 in a slightly different way. So that's who Maverick are. We've been around since 2014. We've got an office based in Minneapolis. And we are also based in the UK as well. So I'm based in Plymouth, and Graham, who you'll probably see on the chat, is based in Minneapolis. So my objective for today's session is to give you strategy and tactics that will bring you leads and sales. It's something you can do for yourself. Obviously, we've got a limited time. We've got 90 minutes, so I'm going to cram in as much as I can in 90 minutes. But that's my objective, to give you strategy and tactics that will bring you leads and sales. So let's dig into this now. Just bit of housekeeping as well. If you've got questions, please feel free to comment or chat wherever you're watching, whatever social channel you're watching. Do feel free to comment or message in the chat, and we'll happily answer your questions as we go. And I've left some time at the end for real world practical examples, because it's great when you come on these things, but then you go, how would I do that? How would that work for me? My business does this. How would that apply? So you can ask questions in the chat, and if I can answer them as I go, I will. But if not, we'll store some up for the end, and we'll go through any questions that you have. Okay, I just want to share with you something. This might be a little bit tricky to get your head round, but I want to just share something with you. 90% of your market, your addressable market, whether you're a solopreneur or a big corporate, 90% of your addressable market aren't looking for what you've got, what you're selling. They're not looking for it. Now, I know it's a new year and this sounds like a depressing message. It's not a depressing message. What I'm trying to do is get us to look at this from a realistic point of view. 90% of your potential customers are not thinking about buying a service or product like yours right now. So that's a reality. And this has been done off a lot of stats and surveys and all sorts of research. It doesn't mean they don't need you. So just understand this for a moment. 90% of your market aren't looking for what you're selling. They're not looking for it. And if you probably approached them, they'd say they're not interested. But that does not mean they don't need you. Yeah? Sometimes people are not looking, but still need you. And I've met lots of business owners who say that same thing. They say, it's so frustrating. We know we can help people, but they just don't see it. They can't see it. They can't see their own problem. So I'm going to walk you through some bits about this, because if we unpick this, it will actually open up a whole world for you in terms of lead generation and sales this year. So just a quick wave to everybody. I can see Carly's watching from New Jersey, Dylan, Twin Cities, Mary Jane, St. Paul's area, Jim from Minneapolis, and Graham's there on YouTube as well. But lots of people are joining from the LinkedIn Live event on the Maverick North America page too. So hello, Naveen. So just continuing that thought, 90% aren't looking for what you're selling, but it doesn't mean they don't need you. That same survey found that 3% of the market are actively looking for your services right now, whether that's on Google, whether that's another way that they're going to tender, they're getting pitches in, whatever it is, 3% of your market are actively looking right now. So if you're good at maths, you'll notice that 3%, and that 90%, there's a bit missing. Well, that bit missing is 7%. And that 7% is made up of tire kickers and people who are curious but not necessarily seriously looking. So 3% are actively looking, serious buyers. 90% are oblivious, yeah? And 7% are tire kicking. They're not committal either way. So if you think about what you're going to do this year to generate leads and sales, who are you going to go after? Because finding that 3%, yeah, the 3% of your market that are serious and actively looking to buy your services or your product right now, finding them and getting in front of them is very, very hard. And it's very, very expensive. And the messages that you have to do to reach those people, the wording and the ads and the stuff you need to do to reach those people is very specific and very expensive. Google Ads, SEO. Some people are reaching lots of people through SEO, doing very well, but they're appealing to a slither of the market and investing a lot of money to find that 3%. But we don't hunt for clients. That's not what we should be doing. It shouldn't be like a treasure hunt, yeah? Trying to find a needle in a haystack. It shouldn't be that way. That's not how it works. It's not how major businesses do their work. It's not how businesses should do their work. And it's not something that you should, you spend a lot of time finding one client. And I'm going to do some exercises with you about this a little bit later. We create clients. That's the thing I want to talk to you about leads and sales. I want you to think about client creation. And you are in charge of this creation process. So I'll give you an example. I've got 2 examples to share, and then we're going to dig into this. Now, there is no sales pitch coming here. This is all training, but I'm just trying to lay the groundwork so that this starts to build and make sense for you. So we work with companies, and this particular company is a video production company. They make commercials and corporate videos for companies. And we worked with them about 3 years ago, and we went to see them and we did a strategy session with them because they were in the position whereby they were losing more of the business than they should be. So out of 10, they were winning 3. And all of those businesses they were dealing with were coming through pitches or competitive processes. So it was very price sensitive. So we consulted with them and we shifted them. Instead of niching, we got them to think about the pain points of their target market. And we got them to show up on social media, show up on LinkedIn, and do hyper-relevant outreach. Now, I'm going to talk about this hyper-relevant outreach a little bit later, but hyper-relevant outreach. The results were this. The initial result of the exercise in 3 months was 4 new clients in 3 months, and they'd spend £200,000 because they're based in Bristol in the United Kingdom. That was from shifting one little step. Now, the upshot of that was also, instead of going out and chasing work, they started to embark upon new client creation, going after that 90% and showing them why they need the product or service, showing them why they need commercials and corporate videos. And it's not about how amazing the video is, because those 90% don't want a video. It's showing them what the video can do. It's showing them what that video can achieve in their business. It's showing them how that the video, the piece of content that's made, can make a difference in that client's business, in tune with the client's pain points and the client's goals. So this happened with the video production. They now have increased their office space. They're winning 70% of every proposal they put in, and they've grown the business significantly. They've now got more staff, more clients. It's going brilliantly because they did something that doesn't make sense. On the face of it, logically, it makes sense to pursue the 3% of people who are looking right now. But actually, the better long-term position is to pursue the 90% and convert those people, show them how you can make a difference. When Steve Jobs launched the iPhone in 2007, but I think it hit the shops in 2009. When he launched it, he didn't target the people who wanted a phone without a keyboard. He went after every person who had a phone with a keyboard and said, look, this is better. You get fed up of doing this, fed up of doing that, fed up of apps not working the way you want. Look at this. So he moved an audience, a customer base, and converted them into a new way of doing things. Now, you might think, well, that's Apple, that can't happen. It can happen in a small business too. And I'm going to walk you through that process and then show you some practical application of how that works in reality. One more, HR, payroll consultant. Again, a UK client here, but they are a UK client and they provide consultancy service to do with staffing and payroll and all of that stuff to do with the operations and human resources and people management. And they had a retainer which is roughly about $700 to $1,300, $1,400 per month. That's their business model. So they'd sign up a client for a length of time and they'd pay between the $700 and $1,400 mark. They wanted more clients, but were finding it very difficult to get people to commit to a monthly retainer in that way. So we worked with them to review their pain points. And as a result of reviewing the pain points of their clients, as a result of looking at and digging deeper into what their clients' worlds are like, they realized their offer wasn't right. They were selling it, but it wasn't flying off the shelf. It wasn't the easiest thing to sell. So as a result, they changed their offer. They just repositioned it and showed up on LinkedIn, did the social selling piece, which we train, and did all of that stuff, changed to pain point focused messaging and content, which we'll show you in a little while. £100,000, so $140,000 worth of sales in 3 months, paid up front. No retainer, they paid up front because we repositioned the offer around their pain points and their goals and their outcomes of the client. And so the client saw our client differently. They saw it as a different proposition. And so we're going to walk through this, but I just want to get you that education piece of why are we talking about this? It may well be that the reason that you're struggling or maybe struggling with leads and closing sales, and maybe it feels like a fight to make a sale or to get a lead, is because your positioning is out of alignment with the market. So I just want to go to Elon Musk, for an example, just to explain a different way of explaining this point and how we're going to look at this from what Elon Musk did with SpaceX, and he called it first principles. And first principles is a scientific process whereby you investigate a problem to find the solution. So if I walk you through, it's my paraphrase of the Elon Musk's example. You can find, if you Google first principles Elon Musk, you'll find a YouTube video about it. So when Elon Musk decided he was going to go to Mars and he was going to build spaceships to go to Mars, which seems ridiculous, doesn't seem as ridiculous as it used to be, but that's what he set out to do. One of the first things he did was he went to see NASA and he looked at how NASA built rockets, and NASA was aware, he was aware that it was incredibly expensive to take people into space. That's why the space program has operated so slow. The cost of it is huge. And so he knew that if he's going to build a viable business, SpaceX, he needed to find a way to find an affordable way to effectively get people into space. What I'm going to do for you guys who are on LinkedIn, if you want any of the resources or the recording, just email this address here below, hello@maverick.com, and we will get it sent to you. It'll probably be tomorrow, but if you want it, we can send it to you. So Elon Musk is in NASA and he realizes it's too expensive. So he does the logical thing and he goes and looks at other countries' space programs like Russia's and sees how do they do it. So he had a look and discovered that actually Russia can do them a little bit cheaper than NASA. But it still was incredibly expensive. So he went back to first principles. So he boiled the whole construction process of a space rocket down to first principles, and he discovered that about 2% of the cost, and if we're talking like $500 million to build one of these rockets, 2% of the cost, 2%, was the raw materials, the metal and the wiring and all of that stuff, 2% of the cost. 98%, and again, this is my paraphrase, but go watch the video, 90% of the cost, 98% of the cost was the process of assembling the raw components and getting it into space, the fuel and all that kind of stuff. So he used first principles to dissect all of this, to find how can we get to space without it costing $500 million a time. And he come up with the reusable rocket, and he found efficiencies in how to construct a rocket. Neil Armstrong, when Elon Musk started this, one of Elon Musk's heroes, Neil Armstrong, criticised him for tinkering in this space. And there's an interview, again on YouTube, I think it was a 60 Minutes interview, where you can see Elon Musk is physically, you can see him, emotion building in his face as somebody tells him what Neil Armstrong said. And Neil Armstrong's one of his heroes. You can see the emotion that cut in. Now, NASA hires SpaceX to take their astronauts into space because he applied first principles to be able to build a rocket cheaper and more efficient than the people who've been building it forever. He innovated and changed something in a way that people didn't think was possible. Why? Because he went down to first principles. He didn't try and just build on top of NASA. He didn't do the thing of, well, if NASA can do it for this and the Russian Space Agency can do it for this, we can save 5% or we can save 10% here and there. He boiled it all back down to the basics, and from the basics built up. What's the simplest elements here? And let's build back up. And that's how he's managed to be successful with SpaceX, by doing that first principle process. And we're going to use first principles today. Now, just before we dig into this, can you just go to the chat and tell me that you're all still alive? Because it's awfully quiet doing a live broadcast and I can't hear voices or anything like that. So just go to the chat wherever it is on your screen and just say, I'm here, Dean, or something like that, so I know you're all here. That would be awesome before we dig into the next section. So just go in the chat and say, I'm here, Dean, I'm alive. That'd be great, just so I can see the interaction and know we're all here. Graham's here. Graham, it's just the two of us. I think everybody else, no, I'm joking. Yeah, Brian's here. Awesome. Pedro's here. Jason, brilliant. People are coming in, awesome. So it's just, it's difficult to do one when you can't do it this way, but everybody's here, great. So we're going to use this first principle and we're going to use it now to generate some leads and show you how to generate leads and sales. If you'd like a copy of today's presentation, feel free to just email us on screen and we'll send it to you. So here's the question for you. Here's the question for you, and I want you to think about this question. What has to happen, if we think about first principles, what has to happen for you to get a client? What's the basic things that have to happen for you to get a client? I'm going to boil it down as simple as possible. Think about that. What has to happen for you to get a client? So this is the simplest bit you can go. This is as simple as you can go. Number one, people need to be aware of you. They need to be able to relate to you, and they need to believe you and believe in you. So believe in you, aware of you, relate to you about what? Well, about you as an individual. If you're the front person, if you're the salesperson, if you're the business owner, they need to be aware of you. They need to be able to relate to you. People don't buy from people they don't get on with. People don't buy from people they don't trust. People don't buy from people that can't see them working with. And people need to believe in you. Believe in you that you are credible. Believe in you that your product or service is good. And believe that you can help them. So that's awareness, belief, relationship, relate, and belief about you. Then we come to the tricky one about your value. And this is where I've got an exercise you can do. We don't have a lot of time in today's session to go through it, but I'm going to give you an overview of it. And if you want the training video for it, you can email us and we'll send it to you. We call it the one client profile. And it's a way of thinking that helps you understand the value you bring to your clients better. So the simple way of thinking about it is, for anybody to buy something, they have to have a need. They have to have a discomfort, a pain points, and they have to want to achieve a goal. Now, you may be marketing based on goals. You may be selling based on goals. But what's been discovered is that, should we do a little survey? How many of you have put off tasks because there was no pressure or urgency behind the task? How many of you have put off a task? Let's be honest. How many? I have. I've put off a task. Yeah? I've put off a task because it wasn't urgent and there was no perceived consequence of not doing that task. I put it off. How many of you now have then suddenly had a deadline and run like crazy to get that task done? Cramming, as they call it. Yeah? We do it. Now, think about this from your customer's point of view. A customer will only buy if they're feeling some form of, I don't mean pressure from you, I mean pressure internally because there are challenges and problems within their business that they want to fix. Or there are goals and objectives that they need to achieve. And so your value is based on the goals and the pains that your customer has. Whether you're selling a trinket, a manufacturing process, a product, a service, anything, for a customer to buy, there has to be a need and a desire to change it. So there needs to be an outcome that they want to see, they're trying to seek, and there has to be a current pain that they're living with. So here's the exercise, and again, there's a video on this I can share with you. Just email us and we'll send it to you. The video is, or the pain example, the pain one client profile document helps you work this out. But here's a simple way of thinking about it. Imagine that a client has been with you as a client for 6 months. They've been a paying client for 6 months. So 6 months down the line. Now imagine you go meet that client for coffee and you want to talk to that client because you want them to do a case study. Yeah, let's imagine. So you sat down, you've asked the client, would they be willing to do a case study for you or a video testimonial or something like that? And here, what you're going to do is you're going to ask them questions about what's the difference in your business because you've been using our product or you've been using our service. And that client will list down some things that have helped them in their business. It won't be, and this is where you need to be careful, it's not, those guys are so friendly. That's not it. It could be the response time on your service is incredible, but that's a fix of a pain. What's the wins, the gains they've had? So think about it like, okay, we've helped them save $50,000. We've reduced their downtime by X. We've done this, we've done that, we've done this, we've done that. You can't just write a long list of as many specific examples that you can think of how you've delivered a result for a client. Yeah, everybody with me? Everybody get that? Write that list. Like you sat down with a client having coffee and they're telling you about all the little changes and the big things that have happened in their business because of they're using your product. They're not wasting this much time anymore. They're saving time here. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing the other. It's not about describing the product. It's about describing the difference the product has made in their business, and you write them down. So you've wrote those all down, imagining that you're 6 months down the road with that client and asking them for a testimonial or a case study or a review. And they've written all these good things down. Now I want you to jump in your time machine and I want you to go back to 6 months before they were your client. So 12 months, yeah? You've gone 12 months into the past. And now I want you to list down all of the big problems they relate, the benefits that they've had, the wins that they've had in the future. Write down all the problems they've got right now. Just list them. Some of them, it'll take you some time to figure this out. And again, that's why we've got the worksheet to help you think about this, the one client profile. So if you want that, please do email us. The email address is there. Just email us and we'll send it to you. It's free. There's no cost to it at all. So you do that exercise, and then what happens is it becomes really clear, this is the value that we bring to the table. And then what you can do is start to look at those two things and say, how big is this an issue for our clients? How big is this a problem in the market? And the gap between that problem and that outcome is your value. And your job is to communicate your value, make people aware of your value, relate to your values. They can understand how that can happen for them in their business, and they believe that it could happen for them. That's your job. So value. We'll come to this again in a bit more detail. Just to say, if you've got questions, do put them in the chat. I'll answer them as we go if I can, or I'll store some up till the end as well. So they need to be aware, they need to relate, and they need to believe in you, your value. And then the final one here is your offer. Your offer. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very dominant in our business because it's the biggest B2B social network. So it's a great opportunity to build a brand, reach new audiences and get customers. But I see a lot of people on LinkedIn and they're not clearly communicating about themselves, about their value, and about their offer. What do I mean by their offer? So when you're on LinkedIn, when I'm on LinkedIn, I am Dean. Yeah? So I'm one person, and I am one person posting and communicating with many people. So my job is to land a message as clearly and as concisely as I can. And so if I don't land with other people so that they understand what the hell I'm selling, that's on me. That's my problem that I need to fix. So actively communicating and showing people what I call the 4 corners of your offer. In other words, how it works, how they can buy it, how much it is, and the big reasons why they should buy it. If you don't have those 4 corners, the offer isn't clear, the product isn't clear, the service that you deliver isn't clear. So they need to be aware of your offer, they need to be able to relate to the offer to see how it could work for them, and they need to believe it can deliver the value. So one of the things that I say quite a bit is, people need to believe you can do what you say you can do, number one, but they also need to believe that you can do what you say you can do for them. 2 very different things. People can believe you, but people have to believe that you can do it for them too. And that's where a lot of people come unstuck. They throw out case studies, they throw out stuff without thinking about, how can I tie this in so that the customers who see it understand that can happen for them. So we're going to look at some client creation tactics. We're going to look at some stuff here. If you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat. Put them in the chat because we've got lots to go through here. And I'd love to get into some specific examples. I'd love to get into some specific examples so that we can see how we can help you, how I can help you on this session tonight. So do put them in the chat. We'll pop up the chat on the screen as well so people can see the questions as they come in. So let's look at this in a broken down process. So aware, right? So I'm just going to give you some content examples. I'm going to relate them to LinkedIn, but they can apply to Instagram, the email, what have you. I'll also mention the hyper-personalized email a little bit later that can have a massive impact. Alex, the 4 corners of an offer. How it works, how they can buy it, how much it costs, and why they need it. Those 4 corners need to be there. If that's not clear, they don't understand it. It's like homogeneous. It's just like a mess. And so they can't say, oh, this is something. And just whilst we're here talking about this offer, I've had many clients come to me and say, one of the hardest things we have is a lot of our clients are tied down into contracts or they're with a competitor. How do we get them to consider moving away? Because when we talk to them, they say, we're quite happy, thank you. Well, I'd encourage you, that exercise I showed you before, the 1 client profile, you can do that exercise on people who are already using a similar product or service. So you would go through that same process, but now what you're going to do is you're going to think about the problems that your competitor has created for your client, your prospect. Now people go, problems? Yes, problems. Now this is something that will really, really help you. Every business, every product, every service creates a new problem. It fixes a problem and creates a new one. This is the reality of life. We don't like it, but it's the way it works. So let me give you an example. If you hire a rock star salesperson today, absolute rock star salesperson, they're bringing in deals left, right, and center, left, right, and center. So you've got this rock star salesperson who's working for you, bringing in so many deals, you've never seen as many deals. What problems has that rock star salesperson brought to your table? Well, new orders, new volume, you've got no staffing power, you need to manufacturing, all of that stuff. Even a great product or service will create new problems. Now, a smart business will think about this and go, what if we build a value ladder here whereby we solve one problem and then have a solution for another problem and another problem? In other words, we create a value ladder, a product ladder, or a service ladder that solves the next problem, the next problem, the next problem, the next problem. So this is called land and expand. And so when you map your competitors' challenges, Ken, I'll come to your question in 1 second, just bear with me. So when we come to a competitor, we analyze the competitor, we do some research and we look at what are the new problems or the new challenges that are created by that prospect working with our competitor. And we come up with a list, we do the same exercise. If we're struggling to get that client to spend time with us or to see us, we can do something what's called a land and expand. And this is a proven method to build that value ladder. And we used it with an IT services company about 2-3 years ago we were consulting with. And they were finding that most of their clients were in multi-year contracts. And so they had to wait till the contract expired before they could get a chance. And that was frustrating because they knew they could help people, they were just tied down. And they knew that they needed to keep that relationship up because they needed to be in the right place for the right time. 2 years down the line, the contract's expired, or a year down the line. So how do you keep in contact with a client that says they can't do anything? So they don't want you to contact them regularly because they've told you it's not for another year or another 18 months, but you need to build that relationship so that you get the chance to speak. So this is where we spoke to the client and we consulted with them and said, what you need is a land and expand. And what this is a standalone, not very expensive. Theirs was $7,000, $7,000 to $14,000 in fees, depending on the size of the company. You can do them much smaller than that, but generally, if you're doing B2B, it's in that kind of range. And they approached the client with a land offer, a product or a service that is designed to help them with the gap between the new challenges that have been created by the competitor. So that could be a review, it could be a diagnostic, it could be something that's not in their current contract, even down to a third-party assessment, so that they got an external pair of eyes to look at something from a different perspective. And this works very well in technology. Bring in an outside pair of eyes to spot things. Yes, we're going to spot things that you already know about, but we might spot some things you don't know about. And they use this as a simple door opening product. They opened the door with it, and then when they got in, they built and established relationships and gained more business, took people on that value ladder up to higher value products because they'd mapped the pains and challenges and goals as best they could of their customer and used the land product to actually open the door and learn more so that they could tailor their offer for that client. Ken's asked a question, maybe too specific a question, so I understand if you don't answer. Ken's here. What if you're an independent agent representing various tools from providers? Do I lace credibility by posting from my profile about various tools? Ken, your LinkedIn profile is the most powerful powerful channel you have. Second, with email's probably pretty good too, but LinkedIn is the most powerful B2B tool you've got in your hands. I would not say that you lose credibility. I don't know the product specifically, or tools specifically, but you don't lose credibility by posting because you're representing companies and those products have value. Your key is to post about the value, not just here's a tool, here's a tool, here's a tool. Because when you say here's a tool and this is what it does, you're appealing to the 3% who are just looking for the tool. But the 90% are looking for a problem, a fix to a problem. They've not defined the tool or the way to do it. So Ken, there's no problem with posting on your profile. I'd encourage you to do it, but you might have to work out a process because if you've got lots of different tools, you might have to look at the overarching challenge of what do all of these tools have in common? What are the big things that they're helping people do? And so that you can have a joined up message that overarches everything, even if they're from different companies or what have you, or different brand names, but it's clear that the theme of the value that you bring is this. And the value is the gap between their current reality or their past reality, where they are, what they're struggling with, what keeps them up at night, what they're frustrated about, and where they want to be, the goals and objectives they want to achieve. That's your value. So if the tool does X, that's great. But if the tool can get them from A to B, from one point to another, that's where the value is. That's the real value. So awareness. How do we build awareness? I'm going to use LinkedIn, but it could be anything. It could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be any of those things. It could be email. How can we use that to build awareness? Number one, and people miss this quite a bit, if you're not posting frequently, if you're not in front of people frequently, you will not remain top of mind. And so they'll forget you pretty quick. So frequent posting, will get you seen and get you remembered. People know your name. There's who's this? I know this person. I'm familiar with this person. And so we have an example of that, what we call the content sandwich. And we encourage people to actually post every single day. I'm going to talk you through an example of this a little bit later. So every single day. And the reason we do that is because it keeps you top of mind, it keeps you visible, you're out there. As we know, and I'm not going to get into politics because, you know, it's a divisive topic. As we know, there is power in repeating a message. Yeah, I'm not going to give you examples because I don't want to open that can of worms. But people have, throughout history, have repeated messages, consistently repeated clear messages, and people get it. And so being consistent on the platform makes a difference. The content sandwich is about alternating content. So you share some things that explain you and your value and all of the stuff about your product. But equally, you share some things that are a bit more personal so people get to know you, because people buy from people. If you don't like me, you're never going to come on one of our programs. You're never going to come to one of our boot camps because you don't like me. And so part of my job with my content, part of my job in this webinar, hopefully, is to get people to know me and go, do I like that Dean? Can I see me working with him? Can I see how he can help me? That's what I'm trying to get people to do. So then we can make people aware of and share stories. I don't mean big formal documents or anything like that. Stories of how you've helped clients, how you've taken them from that pain to that outcome in a very relaxed tone. I'm not meaning very formal stuff. So pain point outcome centric posts about customers and how you've made a difference. If you're struggling with some customers where you come up with that, I'm not saying make it up because that's not good, but what you can do is give examples of how you could help a customer. So you could give us like a story of how, if you were faced with this issue, if you've been faced with this issue, this is how we help. And this is how we can help you get to these kind of goals. You're not making an example up, you're just telling a story. So you're not implying it's a real story, you're just talking about the pains and the outcomes in a story format. Then you can showcase your successes with similar clients. So this is real serious case study stuff. And again, you're not sharing it to say buy now, get a call to action. These are things that you're putting out just so that people read it and go, oh, that was interesting. You don't want to put a call to action on them. None at all. Because call to actions immediately tell people you're trying to sell me. So I'm going to treat what you've just said with an air of skepticism. When you drop the call to actions and just share it, people get educated and are less defensive. So awareness posts are not about trying to sell. They're about trying to land a message so that it's remembered. And so awareness about you, your value, and your offer. So in a case study post, you would say, this client took this service and this is what happens. Yeah, so far more specific. Now the relatable. So this is about getting them to get you. Personal posts about things outside of business. So that could be the occasional update or post about what you've been doing. Perhaps you're going somewhere, perhaps you've just attended a conference, perhaps you've had something important happen in your business, but it's more personal. It's more about how this is impacting you or what you're up to within the business, but also a little bit personal. I don't mean like Facebook, but a little bit. And I do this a lot on LinkedIn. Then we share or comment on things which you can have a joint interest related to your product or service. So imagine that your LinkedIn is you connected and grow your network on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever with people who could be potential clients. So now what you might do is you might find a news story, you might find a topic in a magazine, and you might share about it on your LinkedIn, but it's not about a topic to do with your industry or your product. It's to do with the client's industry or the client's type of product. I don't mean specifically, I mean generally. So if I was selling to marketing agencies, I might find an article about marketing agencies and I might share it on my profile and talk about why I think this is interesting, and maybe ask some questions in the post to encourage marketing agencies and marketing agency owners to engage with me and to give their opinion, so we create some relationship, some level of relatability. So that's an example. So you're showing your expertise around problems you can solve without promoting. Again, you're trying to get people to relate. So maybe it's a big challenge in the industry and how you would approach it. You're trying to demonstrate your expertise. And then one of the relatable bits is you could actually share one of the corners of your offer, and explain how that element of your service can fix a problem for your clients. So pick a part of the service, pick an edge of the service, pick an element of it that you do, and explain how it makes a difference. Real simple, just to build relatability. Now, believe, the reason I've used believe and not trust, and it's really important, the reason I use belief, because human beings are emotional creatures, and belief is different from trust. And it's different from faith. It's a confidence. And so believe is something that people decide for themselves. Yeah, I could trust you but not want to buy from you. But I have to believe in you that you can do what you say you can do, and I'm warm to you. So one of the ways we can build belief, and this is really interesting, is the more we interact with a prospect without selling, the more they trust us. So let me give you an example. If you're looking to go and sell right now, I would encourage you to go and interact with your prospects without trying to sell them. So think about that on email. What could you do on email? Oh, well, you could actually share content. You could actually share informative articles that would help them, showing value. The more you do that, and remember, you have to be aware of you, your value, and your offer. You don't have to promote your offer, but they have to be aware of it. The more they do that, the more they believe in what you can do. Likewise, if I tried to sell you on the spot and you've never heard my name before, you will have a bit of shock and stand off and go, wow, you'll have lots of questions. Larry, yes, we will share the slides. Just drop us an email below at hello@maverick.com. Email there and we'll send you the slides tomorrow. So that's about you. Engaging with the prospects will build believability in you as a person. Yeah, so more interactions increases belief and visibility. The strange thing is that people trust people the more times they see them. It's just a fact. Share lead magnets in DMs. There's an example. What's a resource that you could give to somebody? I'll share a lead magnet in the feed, a white paper, a download, whatever it is, a free resource that will help add value to somebody's world. Yeah, and make sure it features pains and outcomes and it's centered around pains and outcomes. And so you can do LinkedIn, PDF posts, you could share a resource on email, you could drop an email to people and say, here's a resource that might help, and then track the clicks and engage the people who click. A webinar like I'm doing, this is to help people know about Maverick, and I think a lot of people in Minnesota, Minneapolis are gonna know about Maverick today. And a landing page, you might use a landing page, you might direct people to a landing page. But the goal of that is just to build believability, that they believe in what you can do. They believe that you say you can do what you say you can do. They believe that you can do what you say you can do for them. Case studies and results. Without bragging, explain how your company has made a difference for similar clients with similar challenges. Awareness, belief, and relationship. All of these are foundations to make a sale. So it's a real simple process. I encourage you to go through that process if you want to target this 90%, if you want to get into the client creation world, this is the way to do it. And I'll give you another example on TV commercials. I worked with an agency who was looking to do TV commercials. quite a tricky thing to do. And this is very similar to the first example, but what they did is they decided to go after people who'd never had a TV commercial before. They'd been, doing the rounds as agencies do, pitching for TV commercials like you do. But what they wanted to do is get new entrants to the market. So when we looked at this, and it's not as expensive as it used to be to get on TV, depending on which platform and what times, but you can get on TV in various different levels for not a lot of money. But to get people to go onto TV, to consider it, we had to understand what are the pains within their business that a TV commercial, a successful TV commercial, could deliver for them. And so we mapped all of that out. And what they found was they were starting to sell brand new people who had never done a TV commercial before into TV. And they were, I don't know where they are now, but I would imagine so, they were one of the biggest agencies in their region for signing up brand new. They were number one in their region for signing up brand new clients for TV advertising for particular channels. It was unreal. And they did it because they understood it's not about the TV commercial. Really, it's not about it. It's not about how good your cameras are. It's not how good your art direction is. It's not about any of how good your editing is. Although it is, for the client, it's about the result that comes from the TV commercial. It's about the phone calls that come in. It's about the website inquiries. That's what it's about for the client. Yes, they will have an interest in the TV commercial, but if they were just trying to sell on their creative, which is what you would do to appeal to the 3%, it's what they used to do to appeal to the people beforehand, the people who had done TV commercials before. They'd say, this is our creative, this is our experience, this is how good we are, look at all these TV commercials we've done before. But to appeal to the brand new market, they had to look at what's the big win for them in doing a TV commercial? And we have to show them through content, through resources, through our conversations, through our emails, that if they want those results, if they want to get rid of that pain and they want to get to that result, TV advertising is a method to do it. It's real simple when I say it like that, but that exercise of understanding the pains and the outcomes, the one client profile, and again, if you want a copy of it, just email us on screen, the email's on screen, that will unlock a lot of this. Now, what can you do with that? Once you've unlocked that, though that document that you work through not only tells you things about the client, not only gives you stuff, what do you do with it? And I'm going to show you what you do with that information. So, first things first, if you're going to generate leads, and I'm going to give you some examples on LinkedIn because that's my favorite channel. And if there's any questions, please do drop us an email and we'll send it to you. Any questions at all. Focus on one channel. Don't split your energy too much. I've seen people trying to fill every single channel, burning themselves out, not getting very far because they're not focused and not digging into one channel. I made a choice to dig into LinkedIn 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I dug into LinkedIn. I'm now in a position where I've invested in the platform, that the platform yields more than $1 million of business for me every year. Way more than that. But it started small. And I'll go into the breakdown of this in a minute. But let me give you an example. There's two primary things that we do as a business internally to generate business. Anything on LinkedIn is probably 70%. Yeah. Then we have email, which is probably 20%. And then we have some ads, which is about 10%. So 70% of our revenue comes from LinkedIn. How? Posting content, number one. Webinars and events on LinkedIn, number two. Number three, outbound interactions and messaging. Those three things on LinkedIn keep us very busy, both in terms of our time and in terms of our results. Now, before I go any further, I want to ask a question. How many clients, maybe I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll come back to that. Yes, I will come back to that. How many clients, and I want you to think about this right now, and I want you to put your answer in the chat. How many clients do you need to, brand new clients, not existing clients, brand new clients, do you need to onboard in 2022? Just put it in the chat. How many brand new clients do you need to onboard in 2022? So is it 10? Is it 20? Just put it in. If whatever the number is, there's no right or wrong answer. Just put the number in so I can see you're all alive. In the session I did another session. So Larry, it's 5. Any advances on 5? 4, 10? Any more? 5, 15, 4 to 6, 20, 72. That's very precise, Anoop. 72. So you've got a number there, right? So the highest number I saw earlier, when I did this session earlier, was 100. So 100 is 9 clients a month, roughly, but let's call it 10 because you'll have to front load some of it. 10 clients a month. Now, some of you here have got 4. So 20 plus, 5, 8. So good numbers there. How much time can you devote to LinkedIn to get those clients? And I'll tell you about my routine. Roughly about, some days it's a little bit more, but about an hour each day I focus on LinkedIn. I focus an hour on LinkedIn each day. So roughly over a month on a business day, that's roughly about 21, 22 hours per month. Maybe a little bit more, but 21, 22 hours. Maybe call it 25. 25 hours a month. It's an eighth, roughly, of my working week. So out of that, Maverick as a business needs 1,000 new clients every month. We've got 40 odd people working in 2 different countries. So 1,000 clients. So 1,000 clients. And my job is to work an hour. If your job is to work an hour, 25 hours to get 10 clients, if you are doing 25 hours a month to get 10 clients and it's not working, the obvious answer, the first principles answer, is the time you're spending, whatever you're doing in that time, is not the right things. Simple first principles. Ken's asked the good question, how much of my 25 hours is allocated between posting and prospecting? It's about 60-40 for content. So 60-40 for content. Now, just whilst I'm explaining this, I'm going to say 60% of my time is spent on content, 40% is on outreach and prospecting. So, that, in other words, engaging with prospects, getting into conversation, getting connected, and trying to convert those into customers. But 60% of my time is on content. So, okay, what does that mean? Content, posting. Okay, posting. So here I'm following a posting schedule, and I'm going to break this down again in more detail in a second. So I'm focused on one channel, and about off my LinkedIn is probably about 50% of the company, 20% of the company's leads come from my LinkedIn. Now, when I'm posting content, right, some of you will have joined a gym because it's January and that's the thing we do. We have this regime. We're going to get fit. We're going to get healthy. That's what we're going to do. Content is a bit like going to the gym. If you go for a week and go, I've had no results, so I'm going to quit, content's not going to work for you. The leads I'm getting today are because some people have seen my content multiple times. Not once, they may have seen it 7 to 11 times to create an inbound inquiry. So the content I'm producing today is not about converting today, albeit the better I get at the content, and I'll come back to this in a second, the better I get at the content, the sharper I get at my message, the more I hit the right notes in terms of pain points, and again, I'm going to explain this in a minute, the more effective my content becomes. So day one of Dean posting, if I'm brand new to LinkedIn and Dean posting, the first day I do it, I'll probably be rubbish. But I will get better through an iterative process, which I'm going to show you in a minute. For any of this to work, prospecting, content, the works, you have to master and become the master of the pains and the outcomes of your customer. You need to know them better than your customer because you're the expert in fixing those problems and getting people to those outcomes. You're the expert. Your customer will have to deal with that problem or have to deal with that challenge or try to get to that new goal once, maybe twice. You're doing it every single day for people. Yeah, so Alex, I wouldn't worry about followers. Followers will come when you hit your message. I would be looking at posting every day. Posting every day. Right, and I'll explain why. Pains and outcomes. For content to work, it will take you 3 to 6 months. Honestly, I've seen it work faster than that, but it takes you 3 to 6 months. Richard's asked, what percentage come from LinkedIn from other channels? So as I said earlier, it's about 70% from LinkedIn, 20-ish% from email, and 10% from ads, because I've built the channel. Now, it's easy for you to turn around and go, oh, well, Dean, you've got all of these people working with you and all this stuff. No, I started this on my own. If I was starting again, let me tell you what I would do. If I was one person on my own, and I'll just say this, by the way, every post that I put on LinkedIn, every post, every slide deck, everything that I do myself. And the reason I do it myself, and I'll explain why, we have programs, we have courses that we help people on. So we teach people how to do this in detail, step by step. But we also have programs where we do it with them. So we don't do the work for people. We don't do the work for you. We teach you as you go and encourage you and coach you as you go. So we go, tweak this, tweak that, like nudging you in the right direction. If I have a design team who does everything for me, guess what happens? You don't have any trust in me because I'm not doing it for myself. So I have to generate my own leads. I have to generate my own sales. I do all of that despite being the CEO and the founder of the business. I do it because I've got to teach it to other people. So TikTok. Richard, no problem. Kirk, I'm going to talk about repurposing content in a second. Ken, TikTok is one of the channels at the moment that eludes me a little bit. I know how it works. I can use it. I have TikTok, but I'm trying to find a narrow road to walk where I don't end up doing the silly dances, but actually can leverage it in a way that gets scale. So I'm working on TikTok. TikTok's powerful. TikTok just took over as the main platform on the web. So I would encourage you to think about TikTok. It's still a relatively young audience. LinkedIn is a more older audience. But yes, I'm looking at TikTok too. Nonapur's asked, how do you feel about cold emailing LinkedIn leads? First of all, Nonapur, I'm not going to, this isn't to criticize you because I'm not doing it. I disagree with the concept of calling somebody a lead if they don't know you exist. They're just a line on a database. So if you've got a database of random of people and you're trying to convert them by email, I use email, yeah, but I don't do the automated thing. Yes, I'll send marketing emails like newsletters and things like that, all that kind of stuff to mass. Yes, I will do that because it's, newsletters and all the stuff that you do. But when we're trying to outreach to a prospect to sell, I have a rule: marketing to many, sales to one. So marketing to many, outreach to one. So cold email, the flaws with a lot of cold email is automation, because the automation isn't good enough. It isn't sophisticated enough. It isn't personalized enough. And people can spot it because they all read the same. So we use email, we use outreach by email, but we do it in a very hyper-personalized way. I mean, really personalized. Every email is sent and it takes about 20 minutes to do one email. And before Christmas, we were sending out about 12 per day, but the conversion rate to response rate was 40%. And the conversion rate, in other words, from sending emails to sales was 25%. That's like a 65% conversion rate on replies. Yeah, because we did one email really targeted. We researched, we gathered imagery, we put a document together. It was substantial, it was pain and outcome focused, and we sent an individual document to 12 different people. And we've done this regularly for over 18 months or whatever it is. And it delivers every time. Every time. So we don't do, actually, I'm going to drip the same email with some change variables. It's actually, there's a framework, of course, but actually the document and the elements of it are reworded by hand because it's the best success we've ever had. Patrick, I'm glad we agree. The ones where I get template emails, you can spot them. You need to work and personalize and really do the work to make them sophisticated. The response rate goes up the more personalized it is. Simple. Why? Because a human can see you've took effort, you've made effort. So we use email. We use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is brilliant for us, but actually email's got a good place too. So we use both because not everybody's on LinkedIn. A lot of people are, but there's some people on email. So we use both together. So stick to the plan at all costs. It takes 3 to 6 months to really yield results. And if you quit, you lose it all. If you quit, it fails. Now I'm going to walk through the content side of it. I don't have time to go into everything today. I will happily show you an example of one of our emails if you want it. Just drop me an email there and we'll send it to you tomorrow. hello@maverick.com, and we'll send you a copy of the email, the one client profile, the replay, the slides, whatever you want. So here's the process. So if I'm starting again, if I'm you today, this is what I would do. I would do the one client profile exercise, and I would immediately, with that information I gather from that exercise, I would start posting. And it doesn't have to take months for this, but I do this key thing. I do a post focused on the pains and the outcomes, see how it responds, then do another post the next day and see how people respond. And then off those 2 posts, I'd make a poll, whether it be in a Facebook group, whether it be on Instagram, wherever you want to do it. You can do a poll on TikTok, whatever. And I poll people based on the key phrases that I've used. So do you want to generate leads, sales, inquiries, whatever it is. So I might do a poll, and all I'm looking for is the variances in how people are talking about the subject. Do you want to get more clients, generate leads, close sales, or upsell customers? And I get the votes to see how people want to talk about it. From those posts and polls, I'd learn, and I'd refine the posts again and see if I get a change. And then I spin that post out into a blog. I spin it out into my podcast, which I've started doing. I spin it out into a lead magnet, and I spin it out into a webinar. So one LinkedIn post is tested. I learn from it. I poll and test it, learn from it, post. The ones that do well, the ones that don't do well, I just park. But the ones that do well, I convert into a podcast, a blog, a lead magnet, and a webinar. Sounds like a lot, but actually one little post is just expanded on, and then changed mediums. Now you could also turn that into an Instagram post, you could turn it into a TikTok video, an Instagram reel, a Facebook post, all of that stuff, but that's what you do. Get it out there. And you do it consistently. Get it out there, get it out there, get it out there. About 11 touch points of content for people to really start to land your message. 11. So if you're posting prolifically, like every day, which most social platforms, it's one thing to go, well, I only want to post every week. Well, the reality check for you is the social media platforms and human nature is all going against you. Social media platforms preference more frequent posting. Human nature will forget what you posted about a week in a week's time. You need to show up far more consistently than you think. So posting every day is the key, because that's how people land a message. In theory, in 11 days, somebody's knows exactly who you are in 11 days. So you've got to post consistently and use that process of posting consistently to refine and learn, and then reformat on different channels. So I put my blog on Medium, I put it on LinkedIn articles, and I put it on the website. The blog is then rewritten into a checklist and a guide, and it's put into a webinar. The same content just being expanded in different ways. And I'm doing that daily. I'm not doing a webinar every day, obviously, but I'm doing it 3 times a week. And we're getting over 1,000, anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people register every webinar. Because we're talking to the topics. Yes, we've built from this position, but some people are actually getting there quicker. Frank's just asked a question. Post one a day, one post a day. Let's see if any more. Lynn's just asked, when you cold email, and how much time do you recommend until you try again? So the reality with the email is we do ignore emails. Yeah. So number one, we do ignore emails. Simple. So many times I've opened an email, read it, meant to read it, go back to it, and not done it. We all do that. So there is an element of what Lynn's saying here. You have to go back, and a non-response doesn't mean a no. It just means they're too busy, they didn't see it. But some people it will be irrelevant. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're emailing again because the first one didn't get the response, I would look at, okay, is it what we're saying's wrong? Was there any value? Did we ask them to do anything? The ones I see, a lot of the ones I see are a load of waffle and saying, hey, should we have a call? There's no real reason to go, I don't see the need for it. So what I would do, and this is a little thing, Lind, that I would do. What I would do is email a pain-centric and outcome-centric article to share with people as almost like a newsletter. So I'd share that as a newsletter and see how people respond. So it's harmless, it's innocuous, share it and send it out. I would then see how people respond, and of those people who engaged with that theme of that article, I would then follow up with my email targeted to the issues I raised in the blog. Yeah, Larry, it depends on the email itself and the format. So if I did a test a few years ago, and I emailed 1 million people a blog that Gary Vee had wrote. So I wrote a blog that put a blog together that Gary Vee wrote. And I put a blog together of somebody else and a blog of somebody else. And I put 3 blogs into an email and sent it and tested 3 different subject lines. Every time the pain-centric subject line worked, but there was one caveat. There had to be enough curiosity in the email to go, I need to open this. I'm not sure what it's about. So there was this, there has to be pain there because people don't take action without pain. And you want people to open it, but actually a bit of an air of curiosity. And it's similar to what I've found on landing pages, that the more information you give people, the less likely they are to download. So I would keep it relatively short, hyper relevant in terms of the pain that could be solved in the email. And in fact, I'll mention this now, Graham, if you're watching, we have a brilliant little spreadsheet that you can have of powerful headlines and subject lines that you can not use, but pull apart and use for inspiration. There's about 100 different versions on there. And if you want that, just drop us an email headlines or blog headlines that get attention. There's about 100 different versions we've seen, and we've just collated them into a spreadsheet where you can just cannibalize them. So you can have it again for free, hello@maverick.co.uk, just email us and you can have that. Yeah, it is testing, but pain and curiosity. So content daily, repurpose, all of that stuff. Build your network on LinkedIn. Grow your network by engaging, outbound engaging, love bombing, as we would say, and growing your network so they see your content. It takes 7 to 11 touch points on content for people to get you and see it. That's really important. We have a model we call the 7 steps of social selling, which is an outreach model that you can use on LinkedIn, on Instagram, anywhere you want. It's an outreach model that it's a term we call priming. It primes your prospects for your DM and makes the prospect more receptive. And if you do that with content and put your content out and do this process, it adds a lot. And we're teaching this in our LinkedIn Bootcamp, which starts next Tuesday. So we'll send you some links, but LinkedIn Bootcamp is a 4-week interactive workshop that we run, which teaches you how to prime through content, how to engage your audience and outbound and DM people in a way that's not spammy, not pushy, but actually gets responses. So we'll be teaching that in the bootcamp. And again, if you want any information on the bootcamp, in the reminder email, if you check your email, you would have got a reminder email from us for this session. There's a link there. You can go and book and join that. Create your journey to a sale. Do you need a land and expand service? Do you need a little product to get your foot in the door? Do you need a little service, a paid service? So it could be an audit, a diagnostic, something like that that helps you get the foot in the door so that you can talk to the client and build out your relationship. Webinars, you could add webinars in there. Discovery calls, what's your process to get people to a discovery call? Could you do some of that with content? Could you do it with webinars? Could you do it with messages? How are you going to put that journey together? And have a process, write it down. So that you can follow a consistent pattern, so that you can improve that process. Most people, and I've met many, many business owners, they change their process so often they don't know what the process is. Some just make the process up on the day. But if you've got 25 hours a month, an hour a day, you should be using a process with content and with outreach, whether it be email, whether it be social media. You should have a process that you're working through and a plan of, I do this on this day, I'm going to do this on this day, this on this day, so that you can improve it. You can't improve what you haven't documented. So have that plan and that process. Remember, outreach to one, marketing is to many. So I can send a big email with blogs and resources, but if I'm trying to get a discovery call, I have to use hyper-personalization outreach. I have to be, I can't just send a, "Dear Dean, I notice you are the CEO at Maverick. It has to look and feel and smell like you've taken some time and effort to outreach to that person because you have something of value that will help them in their business. These are the things that you need to do, but it starts with that first stage. Get people an understanding of people's pains and outcomes. Get that nailed. Go to the content and use the content as a testing and refinement tool. Then repurpose. And even, I know somebody said earlier, they do email outreach. I will test content on posts and then repurpose it into an email. Because when I post on LinkedIn, I get stats, I get engagement metrics, I can see how well it does. Some of my best posts, I've had posts with like 1 million views, and I've had posts with 200 views. Actually, what I've found is I get more inbound leads from the posts with the less views. So if a post gets me 1,300 views, but I get 3 inbound inquiries off it, that's fantastic. I'd love to have one with 1 million views with 1 million inbound inquiries. That would create a whole new problem for me of how do I keep up with the inbox. But the reality is it's not about the views, but the views can help you understand the spikes in what's helped messaging. I'll give you another example. One of our clients built an app for the construction industry, and they were pursuing the messaging around one particular thing. And then they went through this exercise that we do, and we teach in our accelerator program, which is a group program we do together. And I take people kicking and streaming on a journey to generate leads and sales. And they went on it, did the exercises, started testing in the content, and they found that their messaging was off. It was the wrong message. They tilted the message to appeal to a different pain point, slightly different message, different pains and outcomes. When they did that, they started getting inbound inquiries and leads, and they closed a client, which is one of the biggest house builders that they were trying to target. Their top tier dream client that's going to put them into thousands of projects. And why? Because they appeal to the people with the need. Remember that conversation we had earlier? Sometimes we don't do things until we're put under pressure. And I don't mean under pressure from me, sales pressure. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the pressure of pain and eagerness of a goal. Those two things together can help people. So when you go to that 90% and say, we've got this gadget, do you want to buy it? They go, we don't need it. It's not something we're looking for. But when you start to talk about their pains and outcomes and then show them how your product or your service can help them achieve that, they're damn interested in that. They're really interested in that. And pain has to be part of that process. You may want to appeal to outcomes, but outcomes attracts a lot of people who tire kick because they're not serious about taking action because they've got no pain on that side. Ken's just said, Ken, I would encourage you to do a variety of different posts because different people have different visual styles. So it's right to say videos. Actually, I don't necessarily agree with you, Ken. Videos get the most views these days. Actually, I think they've gone down quite a lot. PDFs get a lot of views, and we have a whole explanation of which medium you should use on LinkedIn for what. PDFs get a lot of views. Polls get a lot of views. Videos have gone down, actually. They used to be really good. They're still good if you download like cat videos or TikTok videos of people falling over and put them on LinkedIn. You can get 1 million views and you can get lots of followers. The downside is they don't really yield any sales or leads. They just get you a lot of visibility from people who like cat videos or fail videos. But videos do have a place because they're a more immersive content experience. So you know, just using this example, I'm doing a video now. You get to experience me as close to real life as possible. Now, when I'm on a PDF or I'm writing a content, you don't get that. So video has a more impactful experience, but my experience more recently of videos on LinkedIn is they get less views. So it's less views, better experience. PDFs get the highest traffic. So every post works differently. Even text posts have a place. So it's about doing a mix of the different things because different people respond in different ways. Frank's just asked the question. I don't know whether it's been answered. I know Graham's there in the comments as well. I advocate posting in the morning. And I advocate posting in the morning because if you post early, you get the maximum visibility for the day. If you post later in the day, obviously you don't get the maximum visibility because people check out of LinkedIn in the evening sometimes. So I post maximum in the day. And the algorithm of LinkedIn is very simple. Is if you get engagement and dwell time, they show your post to more people. So the more people who engage with you and spend time with you, the better your post will do. You want the right people to spend the time with you though. So there's a process that you go through, and we teach it in the bootcamp to help you grow your audience and get in front of more people and optimize your content to get reach and dwell time. So there's things you can do with your content to get the dwell time. What I'd encourage, if people are watching this, because I've only got 2 minutes left, Graham Riley runs our office in Minneapolis. If you want to know a little bit more about this, maybe you want to come on the bootcamp or maybe you just want a bit more information, Graham is more than happy to jump on a call with you for 15 minutes. I'm not trying to sell you anything because he's not that kind of guy anyway. He's not a pushy guy. He'll walk you through some of the things that you can do on LinkedIn. Graham, I've just filled up your calendar, hopefully. Or not hopefully. You might have wanted a bit more of a break after Christmas or ease into things. He'll walk you through. He'll spend 15 minutes and say, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, this will work for you. Now that might be all you need. And it might be some people go, actually, I don't want that. I want to just jump on the bootcamp, which we'll send you a link for. But if you want to chat with Graham, he will be more than happy to jump on a call and walk you through how this can work. And Graham, what we'll do is in the follow-up email where we send everybody the details, we'll put a link so that they can schedule a time for you. Anyway, any more questions before I wrap up? I'm happy to share the slides. Just one reminder. There's the one client profile we'll give you. There's the email subject lines and blog titles or headlines and subject lines resource. We've got the replay if you want it. We've got something else I was going to share with you. I can't remember what it was. There's all those resources. If you email in, we will happily send them to you. It may take us a little time because it's in the afternoon now, so it might take us till tomorrow to get them to you, but we'll get them all to you, including the replay. So just email if you want them. And I think Graham's picking up the email. So if you mention in there, can I have a chat with anybody? They will happily jump on a call and walk you through some tips. It might be you just need a couple of tips and away you go. And that's all good. We are going to be doing more of these sessions every single week. So if you've got value from this and you're watching on LinkedIn and you're on the Maverick North America page, please do follow the page so you can see more of the stuff that we're doing. And you know, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there too. You can come find me, come find Graham, so that when we do something else, you get it free and you know about it. You're just not lost anywhere. So I'm going to wrap up. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for bearing with me for this session. I would encourage you, get the resources, get the replay. If you want some time with Graham, please do jump on that email and ask him for some time. He'll pick it up and come back to you and do all the likes and the thumbs up, you know, all that stuff that we need for social media. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next session. We've got another session on next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Go on the Maverick company page, Maverick North America company page, and you can register there for free, and we'll do a whole of the training next week, 2 p.m. Thanks for watching, and thanks for joining us today.